Thanks for tuning in to our seller interview series. Up today, we've got a product-based business for sale in the culinary niche. Created in January 2012, this business makes $2,562 per month in net profit, and the listing number for this business is 40963. Now, we do these interviews to give potential buyers more information about both the seller and the businesses they're looking to purchase. We hope these insights are helpful for you in making a buying decision. We got the seller with us today to go through the business and cover everything from niche selection to traffic and monetization. Thanks for coming on, Sarah.
Thank you, Greg.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we dive into all the good questions here, I just want to give a quick summary of the business. As I mentioned at the top, it was built in January 2012. It's a monthly revenue of $3,498 with expenses sitting at $936 for that total net profit of $2,562. That is over a 12-month average. And included with the sale of this business is the domain, the Magcast platform, magazine issues, plan files, email lists, the launch email sequence, the social media profiles, Insightly accounts, contractors, Asana, and 3 meal plan products that are used as an upsell later in the business, which I'm sure we'll get into. But before we dive too deep into the actual business, Sarah, can you tell us a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses? Is this kind of one of your first ones or one of many?
Yes, let's dive into that. This is my first purely online business. My partner who I launched it with was also running a profitable online business in the travel niche. And I had been doing lots of copywriting and graphic design sorts of work and doing mostly copywriting for design agencies. And so I had built sites as kind of a hobby, but never turned them into a automated kind of business before until this one.
So this is kind of your first stab at it then. That's cool. It seems to have become successful. But how did you come up with the idea for this? Was this something you were already pretty passionate about, or did you do like competitor research with this, something like that?
We're looking for a way to, so my partner and I both did a lot of wilderness therapy and outdoor ed kinds of jobs. And so we needed something that we could build and manage that didn't require us to constantly be tuning in and taking care of details. And so I had he had brought some online business experience to the table, and I had all this design and copywriting experience. And we were both passionate about healthy living. Food and nutrition and eating was never kind of top of that list. But we had some close family and family friends who had been struggling, had some health crises, I guess, to summarize it. And through nutrition and eating certain ways, we're able to overcome enormous odds. And so when we kind of were going through that with them as supporting our families, we learned more and more and more about food and kind of noticed a gap in the publishing side of things and the dissemination of this information and what was out there. And so that's kind of where the idea was born, is like, hey, we could create this resource that's currently missing. And yeah, so started out kind of just talking to people about it and realized that there was kind of this entire niche we didn't really realize was there that lacked kind of a central publication. And so we filled that gap.
That's really cool. You found a gap that not only needed to be filled, but something you were actually interested in from the sounds of it. So for this business, there's a lot of moving parts here, or maybe there's not. Maybe you can explain a little bit more for me. For someone looking at this business, and maybe this is their first business they're looking to acquire, could you just briefly explain how this business is making its money?
Yes. So it started out, so in 2012, when we started it out, we kind of hopped on the bandwagon at the very beginning of when kind of the iPad was the new big thing, and having tablet-based magazines was just starting to explode. And so it started just as a magazine for iPad. And we began making our first revenues within a couple months. And it was just that. And then we expanded to other platforms, onto Android and Amazon and Kindle and all those things. And so now that's all automated. So the baseline income is from subscriptions from the magazine. And the website didn't come, we didn't build the site for it until a few years later. So now the base model is, yes, subscription based from a magazine. And on top of that, we have meal plan programs that people can purchase through the site. There are also upsells from the magazine. And that's been kind of the focus in the last year, is really moving things to be more focused on the website as the hub so that there's a centralized place to drive traffic to. And so it's actually a pretty simple process when it kind of comes down to it. And the magazine kind of builds that brand recognition and authority. And so we're kind of the go-to name in this niche now.
Oh, that's cool. I remember when those digital magazines first came out, I always thought that was a pretty cool model. Have you found that you're seeing more success now with the website more so than the magazine, or are you still funneling your website visitors into magazine subscribers?
Kind of both. What's neat, so why we're trying to focus on the web is that then you have more control. Like, it's better to have traffic go to a centralized place so that you can market them several products and meet their needs in different ways. Instead of when you're just focused on the tablets or the devices, now it's on Android and iPhone and all those things, you kind of give up a lot of that marketing control to iTunes and to Google. And so having the website as kind of the new focus has allowed us to build, like, we didn't really use Facebook or anything for the first several years. And so in the last couple of years that we've been using, I think we have close to 13,000 followers now on Facebook, 12,000 on Instagram. We've made lots of relationships with the chefs in our niche. And so they do a lot of marketing and affiliate stuff for us. We just built out an affiliate program that we barely started using. But we've invited a few chefs just to test to make sure that we had set it up all right for our last product launch. And yeah, they drove a couple thousand in sales.
Pretty interesting transformation, from a magazine to a website. Then you're like, oh, well, we should probably use Facebook. And, it sounds like you guys are catching up relatively quick. So that's good.
I know, it kind of unfolds naturally, I guess.
How's the affiliate program coming? Has it been good for I'm assuming the affiliate program sells the subscription, or is it also selling the meal services or the meal plans rather?
Yeah, we built it to drive more sales to the meal plans. And so we just used it for our launch in January. January is a big month because everyone wants to be healthy again. But so that's the first time that we invited some of our chefs, some of our community to become affiliates. I think we just invited 5 just to make sure we had set up everything and the marketing materials right. And so they shared the links, drove sales to us. We shared profits with them. So it all worked seamlessly as we'd hoped. But we haven't done another big launch since we set it up. So it's kind of just waiting for us to invite people to use it.
Very cool. With all this stuff going on, it seems like there's still quite a bit of stuff you can build out and grow with this business. And obviously you like it a lot, I'm assuming. From you sound very enthusiastic about it at least. Why are you selling the business? Why not just keep it and grow it?
I know, I don't even know sometimes. But it's like, it was funny when we were putting together all the materials for you guys, for Empire Flippers, we're like, man, there's so much potential here. What are we doing? But the quick answer is we kind of are turning into farmers slowly. And so we're kind of starting a hobby farm. And I still do a lot of work in the outdoors and off-grid, especially with youth. And so it's been great for the last few years that it's something I've been able to work really hard for a week and then have no internet for the next month, and it's been sustainable like that. But in a lot of ways, I feel like I was the exact right person to start this. And I really think that there's probably someone else that will be better at growing. And so my strength is starting something where there's nothing, and kind of conceptualizing from the blank page and making things work and building systems. And I don't really have the background in growth or traffic. I mean, when you look at our revenue sheets we've sent in, for most months, we have zero expenditure on paid traffic. It's all organic traffic. It's all driven by people who are contributing articles and recipes to us, people on our social media accounts, ranking in Google, just organic ranking for some of our keywords. And the months that we do have ad expenditure for ads, mostly just Google AdWords and Facebook, I think is only what we've done. All of a sudden, our revenues quadruple for that month. And so why we don't do this every month, I don't know, but it's kind of has to do with my other work and our lifestyle. And so I kind of thought I would be moving away from off-grid wilderness trip leading kinds of things. And it's become clear to me I still won't give that up for a few years. That's the most of it, is that I feel like we're sitting on this thing that's ready to be grown. The kinks are worked out. From my side of things, it's finally easy. We've kind of gotten out of that startup chaos. And I could do the education myself on ads and growth and traffic and focusing on that, since everything's ready now to receive. We've focused a lot on products and conversions and making that solid, and haven't focused very much on traffic. So yeah, I think I was the right person to start it, and I think there's probably a better person that can maximize the opportunity here and really grow it. That's not my strength.
So what's the plan after the sale? Are you going to start a hobby farming magazine, perhaps, with the money?
Yeah, we're hoping to. Yeah, exactly. We actually are working on a food truck concept and trying to do a local garden, like farm to food truck, I guess you could say. That's the next project. But
awesome. There's I don't know if you listen. This is kind of a tangent, but I listen to Freakonomics quite a lot, and one of the recent episodes was the uselessness of lawns, and this guy came on and he has a hobby farm that in his front lawn in Florida. He makes like $24K a year off of it. He's like, he was an amazing guy. He's like, I just can't believe how much food can grow on a lawn.
Yes, you don't need that much space. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
edible lawns. It's the next thing.
It's the next big thing. So when you first started this magazine, when it first started out, it was just a magazine. So what was the trajectory of this business for those first few weeks and months as you grew this business out?
The first few months, I guess, kind of when we saw that there was not a magazine in this niche, I immediately just started emailing chefs and bloggers and anyone I could find that was working in this category and publishing recipes, and because I, assumed that they already knew the kind of people that were interested and topics to cover, and they were all so thrilled by the idea of having a publication, having an authority. And it was really important to us to bring this niche to more of a mainstream audience and make it more accessible. And it's definitely really recipe based. So it was first just learning as much as we could learn to put together a really solid publication. And so, yeah, the very beginning was, like most startups, I think, was a little bit of a nightmare. I was doing all of the writing and design and finding chefs to contribute all the recipes. And now we have a designer we've worked with for 4 years, and all the writing is hired out. And so it's just way easier. Yeah, the concept was we expected to turn to ad revenue, and we never ended up doing that. So that's still a potential you could do. We focused more on having really great content that people wanted to pay a premium subscription for. It would be really easy to adjust that, especially I've thought for like a traffic mindset of lowering subscription cost and adding ad revenue, and then you'd have a higher circulation. So all of those things are pretty easy to play with if you want to.
So how often are you producing this magazine? Is it on a monthly basis, quarterly basis, or even more frequent?
It's every other month, so we have 6 per year.
6 per year?
Yeah, so it seems to work great because it's pretty seasonal based. We can follow kind of seasonal food trends, plus make a really big deal over the holidays, and yeah.
Awesome. So you right now have, I'm assuming you're not writing the content as much anymore, right? So you have like chefs that are contributing content. Is that how you're sourcing it?
Yeah, so we use Insightly. The Insightly count is that's kind of how we keep track of all of our connections. And so we have chefs contribute every single recipe, and a majority of them, after submitting to the magazine, give us permission to share anything that they publish, just recipes. And we always customize intros and write articles. Well, we have a VA that does that so that we don't compete with anyone's SEO and there's no duplicate content. And so we have I think there's 300 chefs now that submit recipes and contribute, and we get guest post submissions to our site pretty much every week. Nice. So sometimes I hire out articles for the magazine issues themselves, but yeah, I don't do any writing anymore.
Awesome. That seems like a pretty good system, free content, right? So
yeah.
Is there anything you learned from this business in particular that, say you were going to start another site or another online business of some kind, is there one thing you would take that you learned from this business that just worked really well?
I would automate sooner.
That's a good tip.
Yeah. Like everything as I built it, I would also be creating a system to train someone how to do it instead. So now, like, the VA we have is so amazing. She's just the best, but we have a lady who does customer service, so we don't deal with any of the emails that come in. And so what's nice is that now we have kind of learned that lesson. And so everything they know how to do is documented. There's videos and FAQs and templates on how to do everything. So if a potential buyer wanted to bring in their own person or wanted to learn how to do it themselves or wanted to add someone to the team, it's all, the training is there. But yeah, I would do that first. It's like, don't bother doing something unless you're documenting how you're doing it so someone else can.
That's a great tip that more people should definitely follow. In fact, I've written many, huge blog posts. One of them, I believe, is actually a guest post on Shopify where I say this, where, I talk about preparing a business for sale. One of the first things you should do is immediately start creating standard operating procedures. And I say, like, even if you don't sell the business, it's going to make operating the business so much easier. So yeah, I definitely agree with you there. On the flip side there, is there anything you did that just didn't work? Something, maybe something even you regret that you did, like, oh man, I really wish I hadn't done that?
I don't know that there's anything I wish I hadn't done. There was quite a few things, like I've done some guest posts for other publications and appeared on some podcasts. And some of it was just a lot of work that went nowhere. But so I became a lot pickier. I think you can kind of get in this headspace of like, oh, I just need more eyes. And before we kind of started experimenting with paid traffic, which we still don't use very much, we were looking for ways to just network. And so I think it became a lot pickier with where I would spend time and energy trying to connect or contribute. But yeah, I guess it's kind of back to the basics of finding your target audience and where they hang out, but to an extreme degree so that you can have the time you spent is really worthwhile instead of spinning your wheels producing so much that doesn't take you very far.
Yeah, definitely. You want to be a little bit more of a sniper with where you're writing these big guest posts or something along those lines than the shotgun approach, right? It's hard to scale that output. So
right, you get kind of a little pat on your own back of someone else being excited to share your work, but if it doesn't really move the bottom line for your business, then
Yeah, exactly. So when it comes to traffic, I'm assuming you have quite diversified traffic from the sounds of it. So I'm assuming you're getting traffic from like the iTunes store, you're from SEO and from social media. Is that about right? Could you go into your traffic sources a little bit more?
Yes, we rank really highly. If someone searches our keyword in the iTunes App Store, we're always one of the first handful of choices. So we rank really highly there, get traffic from that, get traffic from inside the magazine and with our social media. And a lot of our traffic, organic traffic, comes from chefs who are contributing to us, either recipes or writing guest posts for us, and they share our magazine a lot with their readers. And so that's actually been our primary kind of traffic plan since the beginning. And kind of the bulk of what we've done is just people that are involved with us and like us sharing us with their communities. And so that's where I think there's the biggest opportunity for someone whose strengths are traffic or advertising, that's where I think the biggest opportunity is right now. And it's not a skill set I have yet.
Not yet. That's super interesting. You cultivated all these relationships over time, and it is interesting. You're getting traffic from iTunes as well. It's definitely an opportunity for an SEO person or paid traffic person, as you said, for sure. When it comes to your earnings, so you have multiple different streams here. You have the subscription service, the meal plans. What are all of your products? So you mentioned earlier you also did a product launch. So are you guys launching physical products or other sorts of products along with the magazine and the meal plans?
Yes. So what's kind of nice is that at the baseline, so the magazine subscriptions themselves, you can count on for a few $1,000s a month. And then in the months that we decided to push one of the products, we didn't start building out meal plan products until this past year. And so that's really ramped up the possibilities. And so now we do have 3 different meal plans. And so one of them we just did a launch for in January. You could easily do another one this summer. And so those are all digital. We do have a kind of gift package that goes along with them, or you can buy them separately. So we do have one physical product that's all automated, that it's just, we have a lady who basically drop ships specialty food ingredients, like some of your spices or superfoods or things that are in the meal plan that might not be at just your average small town grocery store. And so some people opt to add that as an upsell to their package so that they don't have to go source specialty ingredients. They can just get just enough for their meal plan, and so they can see if they even like it or not. So people have been really enjoying that, and we send them a little, smoothie jar to go along with it that's branded, and so that's kind of fun.
It's cool. So with the meal plans, when you mentioned you launched them at different times, so do you change them throughout the year based off seasonal kind of foods, or do they stay the same throughout the year? You just happen to launch them twice a year or something like that?
So they're so new that we don't have a launch schedule. We just finished them in time for January last year, and then relaunched January this year. And then this year is when we added the other 2 because people wanted different lengths of time.
Oh, okay. So the meal plans cover like a month or 2 months or something like that.
It's so the classic one is 21 days, and actually people were asking for shorter, more of a deep dive into nutrition, so a shorter period of time that's really ultra uber healthy, but also really surprisingly delicious. We got to test and make and photograph all of the, I know, we should use that. But yeah, the whole product development was kind of fun. We just were overrun with recipes and things and photographing it all, and yeah.
It sounds like you have quite the community, which is really, really helpful for the buyer when the buyer does take over. How stable are the earnings? You mentioned a few times that the magazine subscription you can always kind of count on, but do you find any kind of seasonality throughout the year with this business?
Yes, the summer in general is always the slowest. And for my partner's other online business this summer, I feel like just August, everyone is on vacation and just people aren't online, which is good for them. Vitamin D. But so I feel like things kind of slow down in the summer, but it also could be related to in the last 5 years, a lot of our other work. We've been off grid usually every summer. So for 2 months at a time, we don't have internet access. So we don't promote things to our list. We have our VA who's automatically posting recipes to the site and to the social media, but we don't do anything extra to kind of push sales. And so then usually in the fall, things pick up, kind of the back to school, a lot of moms trying to find healthy options and get back into a routine of health. And then the new year is always really big as people are, really taking new goals. Yeah, it's just...
Makes sense. With the content on your site, you're publishing the magazine every other month. Are you also adding content on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis to the site? And how much content are you adding, if so?
We add usually 2 to 3 recipes to the site a week, and then those get promoted on social media. And then maybe once a week we have a guest post or an article that's not specifically a recipe that goes to the site. But in general, recipes are the most popular content, and they're easier to create. So that's the bulk of what gets posted to the site and to Instagram and Facebook and all that jazz.
I'm assuming your VA takes care of the majority of that?
Yeah, all of it.
Nice. If you were going to hypothetically keep this business and grow it, what would be the least risky path you'd focus on?
I would focus on the easiest go-to thing, first of all, is now that we have these products that are built to use to actually use them. But I would turn on Facebook ads. I would start sending paid traffic to even just directly to the sales pages. The conversions are really high. We just haven't had a lot of traffic see them since they're new. And so that would be my first go-to thing. Kind of secondary things, like if you wanted more streams of income, we've thought about using, we have over 30 old magazine issues, repurposing some of our content that we own to make ebooks and or repurpose those into products. So we have a bunch of interviews that I've done with chefs and authors and doctors, and that could be turned into marketing or content for the email list. And so, yeah, I would focus first thing on just getting more eyes on sales pages because people like the products, our reviews are good, conversions are good. We just need to get people to them.
Definitely a good opportunity there. Now, on the flip side here, if you just kind of threw caution to the wind and decided to be incredibly risky because you wanted to grow the business as fast as humanly possible, what is it that you would do? Would you do anything different?
Yeah, I would make the magazine free, and that would ramp up distribution enormously. I think we've had over 100,000 downloads on iTunes. And so if all of those were free downloads, we would have 100,000 people on that list that you can send direct messages to their tablet or iPhone or Android phone or whatever. So that's pretty powerful.
Definitely.
So yeah, so if you didn't count on that and you wanted to focus on just building the business, I would immediately do that. Just make that free. If you got distribution up, you can then have paid ads or just run ads for your own products, run ads to joint venture partners, then just all of a sudden your opportunities explode. So that would be the risky move that is maybe not as risky as it sounds, but
it's an interesting move for sure. There's always the debate of the freemium model and the premium model and all that kind of stuff. So it is interesting, especially since you have products as well outside of the magazine to offer now. So maybe it wouldn't be as risky as it would have been if it was just solely reliant on ad revenue. But
yeah, until this year when now we've built out these products, I wouldn't even have thought of that. But now those have been shown that they can be big earners. And so, yeah. So now if you don't rely on kind of that, because everyone loves it's nice having that recurring monthly subscription.
Yeah.
Like that feels good. So, but you asked for the risky move, so there it is.
It's a good answer. It's a very good answer. As far as risks do go, what do you think the biggest risk is with this business that a buyer should be aware of?
I think the biggest risk would just to do nothing. And so that's what kind of how we're at this point that we're at is kind of like, okay, either I need to learn things that aren't my skill set or give it to someone who can maximize it. Because if you did nothing, you'd probably get another few years of just consistent getting a few $1,000s a month. The magazine will just keep going like it is now. But as the world we live in, you want to continue to adapt and address customers' needs and develop. And so there's a hunger for these meal plans we've created. So I think if that doesn't become part of the future plan and promoting those and kind of continuing to diversify, then after a few years, I'm sure it would just dwindle.
That's a good point. This business, while you can automate things, probably isn't the best to leave on autopilot for too long. If you want to keep growing it, especially, you want to keep adding all that new content and all that stuff. So that's
that's pretty easy to automate. It's more like I would say, a potential buyer, they could create, or like you're saying, at least put a launch schedule in place, start some paid advertising, like put in action some things that then you can automate, but experiment with some things that increase distribution and eyeballs. And there's a lot to play with.
Speaking with distribution, backpedaling here a little bit, When you mentioned free or down, giving the magazine away for free to increase distribution and being able to tap into everyone's tablets with push notifications and so on, how big is your list with that right now, and how big is your email list as well?
The email list is hovering somewhere around 2,500, and which I'm kind of excited about because we didn't start doing opt-ins until a few months ago.
Oh,
So we were a little late to that train. But they're great, and every time we've tried to sell, promoted our products to the list, they're excited about it, and so that's been great. I'd have to check. iTunes makes it tough to see how many active users you have. They're always the last to give out information. Everyone else always gives it first. But what's really neat about iTunes and about Android using the Magcast platform to be able to send push notifications is someone doesn't have to be a paid subscriber to receive a notification. So if they've downloaded the app, even if they haven't paid for a magazine subscription, you can still send them messages. So just reminding them to open it, encouraging them to be a subscriber, or even to let them know about a meal plan or something else that's going on. So that's been pretty neat. We've gotten a few conversions that way of people who never actually signed up for the magazine, but were interested in something else we had.
It's cool. It's interesting. I don't get to see many people using the push notifications on tablets and stuff. I'm assuming it's very powerful, because everyone is always glued to them, right? So.
Right. It's pretty neat because people see their phone more often than they see their email, and everyone thinks email is the most powerful thing in online business marketing, but yeah.
It's all about the list, and the list is changing more to people's iPhones than their inbox, it seems. Or maybe it's still a little bit of both, right?
A little both, yeah, definitely.
So when it comes to the work it requires to actually maintain this business, can you describe the amount and type of work you're doing on a daily, weekly, and a monthly kind of basis to maintain it?
Yeah, so like I said, my rhythm has been to kind of plug in and work intensely for a week and then not at all for the next 6. So someone else could easily be more balanced and be successful. The things that I still do, I still design the covers. I've wanted to keep creative control over that. Our designer would be happy to do the covers. I guess I don't really know why I still do that. I guess I like I guess I like it. So I still do that, and I spend usually a full day once every other month planning the next issue, like what content I want to be in the magazine, kind of the categories of recipes we're going to focus on, like trying to come up with those persuasive headlines and what people are really asking for, because we include surveys and things in the magazine issues so we can kind of get to know pretty well what readers want to learn about. So kind of a full day of planning, and then so the issues come out every other month, and there's definitely, maybe 10 to 15 hours of work right before an issue comes out that a lot of it could be delegated to the VA if you wanted to, but just linking things up in the design. I usually throw some ads in there for our own products and creating kind of a post about it to market the magazine issue itself. So that's a lot of what I do. So I kind of don't do much until the issue is about to come out, and then I make sure all the ducks are in a row.
Is there any skills or requirements you believe that a buyer should have, especially when they're not familiar with this niche, before they buy a business like this?
The VA knows the business really well. All of our training is there. There's not any specific skills or knowledge related to the niche. In a lot of ways, it's better to be a novice because that's who we market to. We kind of are trying to reach a mainstream audience that is curious about being healthier or trying something radical and new. So in a lot of ways, coming at it fresh, not knowing a lot about the niche could be an advantage because you'd know some of the questions that potential readers and buyers have that I might be out of touch with by now. But and if you want to continue with creative control over the cover, since that's going to drive the most sales, then some design experience would be good. But our designer's happy to do it, and I'm pretty sure you could find someone else that would be happy to do it too.
Moving to some wrap-up questions, would you be willing to commit to a non-compete?
Yeah, absolutely.
And how much support would you be willing to offer a buyer?
As much as they can take. I'm just kidding. No,
12 hours every day on
every day. For basically, I'll be your new full-time employee, and I just don't own it anymore. No, yeah, both. So I am happy to Skype, get on the phone, email support in the next couple months, whatever questions need to be answered. My partner who built out the products, he doesn't have really any ongoing role, but he built out the products and did a lot of work around conversions and setting up the affiliate program, is happy to hop on the phone, answer emails. Yeah, we want it to be a success for whoever, is excited about it.
Now, obviously, the best case scenario here for you and for Empire Flippers is someone comes in and buys the business for full list price. But with that said, would you at all be open to a split or earn out? Say someone says, 80% down, and then I'll give you the remainder 20% after a certain training period, or perhaps after a few months of an earn out or something along those lines?
Yeah, we'd be open to that. I mean, we've been running it for almost 5 years now, and we've had consistent revenue every month. So we could just let it pay us back. That'd be great too. Yeah.
Excellent. Before I ask you my final question, I just want to give a quick summary of the business again for everyone that's listening in. As I said at the top of the show, the business was built in January 2012. Monthly revenue of $3,498. Expenses are sitting at $936 for that net profit of $2,562. That is over a 12-month average. And included with the sales, the domain, the Magcast platform, all the magazine issues, plan files, a couple thousand email list, the launch email sequence, the social media profiles, Insightly account, contractors, Asana, and the 3-meal plan product. So with all that said, Sarah, my final question for you is, what is your best pitch in 30 seconds or less on why someone should purchase this business?
I would say if you're someone that is growth-minded, traffic-minded, then you have purchasing this business would give you a proven, steady startup that all the kinks have been worked out of for you so that you can just play with ads, traffic, and that sort of thing. So it could be a really fun way for someone with a certain skill set to take something that has a solid foundation and really maximize the opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of different moving parts in terms of different traffic sources they can really test out, and there's a lot of just different revenue streams and possibilities there too, with obviously a very passionate niche. So I think that's all very cool for the person with the right opportunity or with the right skill sets. For everyone out there, if you're watching this on YouTube and you want more information about this business, the link will be below the video in the actual video description. That would take you to the marketplace listing. Now, if you're watching this on the listing page and you want more information, you can become a depositor today. It's super easy. All you have to do is click the button, make a deposit, and you'll be given everything you need to review this business. So, Sarah, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Greg.